this work is to help us to clear what needs to be cleared, to awaken what is already within us, within that divine blueprint, and then to help us to bring our gifts into the world. So my vision is that everybody awakens the gifts that they carry, and that everybody has unique gifts to contribute to the creation of a world that is very different to the one that we are currently challenged by.
Welcome back to New Realities. I'm Alan Steinfeld, and this program is about the expansion and evolution of consciousness. And today I'm talking to Barbara Evans about one of my favorite subjects, which is art, creativity, and the frequencies that art displays to raise our consciousness. Barbara is a fantastic artist, former biologist, award-winning transformational art you've done, and thanks so much for being here. And I really want people to see your beautiful silk scarves and the intention and healing you put into all this. But let me ask you first, how did you go from biology into creating these deep, impressionable designs of sacred geometry, actually?
It was, of course, not a instantaneous switch. It was quite a story of itself. But it started to happen as my father was diagnosed with cancer and then 2 years later passed away. And as I was with him in the last couple of days of his life, I looked into his eyes and saw how much he loved me, but I also saw how he was filled with pain and fear. And for the first time ever, I heard words in my head that said, life was not meant to be this way. And my interpretation over time of those words was that we were not meant to be in this world experiencing pain and fear, and we were certainly not meant to be leaving this world in a state of pain and fear. And so it was like that flipped the switch inside me, and from that point on, I have been on this journey of awakening and to really help to raise consciousness and help people to truly activate that divine blueprint, which I now know that everybody carries, but is often sleeping.
That is a beautiful story. Thank you for sharing that. And that was really your spiritual awakening, huh? That moment.
Definitely, because before that moment, I was in a very scientific box and had, I would say, no spiritual understanding, connections, awareness, none of that. And so all of that spiritual awakening happened from that moment forward.
Wow. So how did you get into the arts and the creation and I want people to see those scarves. Can you lift that one behind you up and just show us? I mean,
the white one?
Yeah, I love that one. Yes. These are on silk, and they are really fantastic. And they're
very large.
And they're all different designs. And the colors are just so special. And you can see all the ones behind her. And what got you into creating these mandalas on silk and as your kind of way of expressing higher consciousness?
So after my father's passing, there was a journey into energy healing first, and this amazing lady who was a shiatsu practitioner was the one who guided me in those initial stages of understanding energy and its existence, and that journey continued for 6 years. And so I looked at that I look back at that as my very spiritual awakening journey. Then my mother passed away very suddenly, a very different experience, and that took me on an emotional healing journey. And at the end of 9 months of that journey, I felt dead inside, and knew I had to go and see a medium, and flew back to the UK because in that 6-year period, we had relocated from the UK to the US. And so I flew back to the UK to see a particular medium. And she gave me this beautiful reading about how my grandparents were caring for me. And at the end of it, she said, try drawing. Well, literally 1 week before I had that try drawing, I had met sacred geometry in the form of Drumvalo Melchizedek's Ancient Secrets of the Flower of Life. And I was in a bookstore and somebody held that cover with that beautiful flower of life on the front of it. And it was like, it took my breath away. So when she said try drawing, I knew that if I was going to draw anything, it would be sacred geometry. But it was too hard. How could I possibly do that? So I did a few other drawings first. The first thing I did was a 7-fold labyrinth. And that very first painting, I could feel those universal energies coming through me and into the painting. And there was this knowing that these were not just for me, but they were for anybody who showed the slightest bit interest in them to help them awaken their gifts, their potential, their consciousness.
How how is it transferred, those frequencies? Because a lot of people do art, and maybe it's all a transfer of frequencies, but you're doing something different, I think, that is actually affecting the person, not just visually, but energetically. How is that happening?
I look at it, there are 4 main pillars to the work I do. One of the pillars is the sacred geometry itself, and every aspect of every image is guided from a team of higher dimensional guides. So I receive very detailed messages on what sacred geometry to use. Then the second of the pillars are crystals, and I always paint within a crystal grid. So the floor is covered with crystals in a sacred geometry form, and my table is in the middle. And how that happened, a lot of synchronicities took place as to how that started to happen. And then the next one, I play crystal singing bowls while I'm painting, and I sit the bowls on the paper, and so the frequency of the bowls is interwoven into the fabric of the images. And then you have that celestial light, as I call it, that energy of the guides that works through me and goes into the painting. So it's the combination of those 4 things that work together to bring these so alive.
Wow.
And many people have said to me that, they're beings. They're like living beings. I mean, I think of crystals as living beings, and I think of this artwork as living beings as well.
That is beautiful. Do you ever actually put crystals, the actual gems or stones in the paintings? Some people do that.
They do.
They do.
But it's like, I couldn't do that to my crystals. It's like, I treasure my crystals, and so I have the crystal grid on the floor, and then I'm not guided as to what color goes where. I'm guided as to what crystal energy goes where. So I will hold the crystal in my left hand, and that energy sort of flows through, and the frequency of the crystal goes into the painting. So I don't need to have the actual crystal in, because the frequency goes in.
Do you feel like your hand is being guided by higher masters? Do you feel that, or you're
I do, and yet at the same time, I feel very, very conscious while I'm painting. It's very interesting, because I sit there with my recipe of instructions and I say, how am I going to do that? And then I start working on the painting, and it may take me a week, it might take me weeks, it might take me months. A couple have taken over a year. And when I've finished, I look at it and go, how did I do that?
Well, what do you mean your recipe of instructions? How does what is that? Where does that come from?
Well, the sort of the messages I get about what it is that I am going to be working on and creating, and what the geometry is going to be, and what the crystal energies are, they all come through in messages which I write down. And then that is as if those, it's like a recipe that I'm going to bake, I'm going to transform into the painting.
What kind of messages would you get for creating a painting? Like, what would they say?
Well, the ones that are on the top, that you can see behind me, the ones that are framed on the top, they are a series called Rays of Creation. And there are 13 images in that system. So part of the messages were that the geometry of each one of them had to add up to 33, which represents that fifth dimensional higher level of consciousness, or Christ consciousness. The number in the middle of circles in the central piece represents the number of the ray. So ray 1 has 1 circle in the center, and ray 12 has 12 circles in the center. And then that they all needed to have Saint Germain's violet flame frequency in them. So all of the purple, including the purple in this white one, represents Saint Germain's violet flame. And then you will see that there are these little squares around the outside, and there are 144 of those around the outer circle, and they hold codes of light. So I might be washing dishes or driving a car, or I can be doing anything when a piece of the message comes through. And then it's essential that I write it down before I forget, and collect them through time until they say, okay, you're ready.
Are you always connected to Saint Germain, or are there other masters coming through, or he's your guide?
Oh, he is one of my guides, but there are many.
And then you make the paintings, and then you transfer that to silk for people to wear. Is that what you do?
Yes, and that was yet another synchronicity, because from the very early on in my artwork, I wanted to have the art made into silk scarves, but didn't know how to do it. And then I don't know what year it was in. It may be 2017. I was at a conference in Orlando, and it was a first-time conference, and the number of attendees was very small, which meant that the exhibitors got to chat with each other. And a few tables down, there was this beautiful lady from the UK who photographed roses and made them into silk scarves. And we chatted, and she liked my work and I liked her work, and we kept in touch. And later on, I said, I've always wanted my work to be on scarves. And she said, okay, this is how you do it. And she gave me the name of the company in the UK, and we'd already had a husband and wife team in New York who I take my original art to, and they digitally capture it. So I was able to give the digital captures to the company in the UK, and they print the scarves for us.
Beautiful. And they are vibrant colors, something about silk particularly, right?
I feel that silk holds the frequency just in a very, very special way. And so they are the best conduit from clothing point of view to bring those frequencies to us.
It's a feminine approach to healing and awakening through beauty, love, and joy. What do you mean by the feminine approach to that?
Well, I feel as if all of this work really helps us to awaken through our heart. It's healing through beauty. It's healing through joy. It works through the heart. I feel that the heart is like the center of everything. And within the geometry, there is also, within every image, there's an aspect of balancing masculine and feminine sacred geometry, so that it's bringing that divine feminine back into this world to really balance with the masculine. It's not like to bring it back to push the masculine away. It's to bring it back and to balance beautifully.
Wow. And you have names for each of your pieces. You give it a special, because the name is a frequency too. So what are you calling that one that you're on, and the other one? Yeah, what are you calling that one?
This one is it is Ray 4 from the Rays of Creation, and its name is Diamond White. So this is Diamond White speaking to everybody. Gently breathe into the very center of my diamond white geometry and call me to awaken. I hold the codes of hope and restoration. Activate them to lighten your way. Look for the brightness in the sky. Look for the brightness within you. I embolden you to awaken the bright light into every aspect of your being. Allow my codes of light to fill you with joy and awaken your intuition to new levels. My diamond white light invites you to enliven and awaken. Call it forward. I will embolden you to awaken the shimmer of light within every cell, every facet of your being. I carry codes of restoration, codes for restoring light, codes for restoring vibrancy of life.
I actually felt that as you were reading it too. That's really beautiful. And so you make the scarves, and then you made a book about the designs that you did. Can we see the book there? Oh,
Yeah, so this is the front cover of the book, and that has all 13. So this image on the front is the 13th image, and that each of the colors in here represents one of these rays. So the white within the center is that diamond white from here. It's a double page spread that tells you about each of the images. And so I was reading the piece that sort of came from down here about the benefits that that can bring to you.
besides the ray paintings, you do other work.
I do. The rays were my third series. So the first one is the empowerment series, and their cards look like this.
Oh, so they're different than rays, huh?
They were my first series, so they very much were at the beginning of my awakening journey, and I feel that they help people with their personal empowerment. If I was to pick a card,
Yes, pick a card
for
for us.
everybody who is listening to this, whenever it is that they listen,
How many cards in the deck there?
this one has 36.
So pick a card that will help everyone watching. That's,
Awareness.
that's what my program's about.
Okay, so I just need to find it. In this card set, there are partner cards. So, oh my goodness, that is such
What are the
an
names of
amazing.
some of the other cards you have there? Awareness.
The other one I have here is oneness,
Okay.
and I have creating the new dream.
Oh, nice.
Here is the other awareness card. So these were created so that we have a big picture card,
Yes.
which really supports the feminine, intuitive, creative, dreaming aspect of ourselves and the right brain. And then we have what I simply call a word card that supports the more logical, scientific, manifesting side and the left brain. So I invite people to look at the image and hold it in their left hand while they read the words. And with all of my cards, it's the picture that's speaking. So awareness says, I hold vibrations and connections to all that is. My purpose is to activate your mind and DNA to higher levels of consciousness. I invite you to explore and expand the possibilities of your vastness beyond all limitation. We have all experienced separation, feelings of separation from our Creator and from each other, feelings of being limited and alone. Now is the time for awareness of our connection and unlimited possibilities to prevail. You are a vast and magnificent being. It is time to remember your connections to all that exists within creation.
Beautiful. These are all such great messages. So, how do you work as a kind of voice of the card? You just kind of go into a trance and channel the cards? Is that what do you do?
It just flows. It's like some of the information usually comes through immediately a painting is completed, or sometimes during the painting, occasionally before the painting, and then it expands on. But I never feel I go into a trance. I always feel very, very conscious, and yet I can be journaling, and it's Barbara journaling, and then suddenly my writing switches. I don't feel any different, but my writing switches and the words switch, and it's one of the guides speaking. So it happens, but it's very gentle and it's incredibly subtle.
You know, what you're saying reminds me of the work of Hilma af Klint. Do you know the Swedish artist? She was the first, I think, to really bring through spiritual messages in her art, and it was to help raise the frequency of the planet. So it sounds like you're continuing that work in these forms. Are all your work mandala-like shapes, or do you ever do anything that's not that geometric type design?
I have no. Well, before I built the confidence to do my first sacred geometry, I did a few other things. But since I drew my first flower of life in the year 2000, I have only ever done sacred geometry.
So you have the scarves and the paintings and the cards and the sounds, like a full activation of
Yes,
of
and
sound and light.
we also have these discs.
Oh,
They're like a sandwich. So there's two beveled sheets of glass, and then there's a fine art giclée print in the center, like a sandwich filling,
yeah.
and then they're wrapped in copper. So the glass and the copper magnify the frequencies of the image. So these can be used on display. They help to raise the frequency, just like the artwork does, of an entire room. And they can be held in the hand, they can be placed on the body. I even have a naturopath who has done a lot of work with acupuncture, ear acupuncture, and he likes to hold two discs, one in each hand, one to each ear.
Beautiful. That is great. So talk about your big vision as a visionary, because really what you're doing is helping to shift the world from this 3D density into a 5D, higher, intuitive, artistic feeling planet and humanity.
Well, I feel that everybody has this divine blueprint within them, but that it is often sleeping, and that can be due to trauma within this lifetime. It can be because of the experiences of the life. It can be inherited through ancestral lines. It can be trauma from other lifetimes. And so I see that this work is to help us to clear what needs to be cleared, to awaken what is already within us, within that divine blueprint, and then to help us to bring our gifts into the world. So my vision is that everybody awakens the gifts that they carry, and that everybody has unique gifts to contribute to the creation of a world that is very different to the one that we are currently challenged by.
How does the healing actually work? Just by looking at, or where, I mean, how does the transmission take place?
It's like all of it. It's like an energetic invitation. So if you have the artwork on the wall in your home, and we have pieces of this work in every room of the house. So when you enter the room, there's an energetic invitation for you to sort of step up. And I see that they work on every level of our being. So they work on the cellular level. They work on the awakening of that divine blueprint and with our DNA. They work with our emotional self, our mental self, our spiritual self. And as I'm painting, the intention is that these work with the all of us. It's not just with a piece of us, but they help every level of our being to awaken to its full potential.
So it would be good if so. You're selling these, and what's your website you sell them at?
Crystal Wings Healing Art.
And if you wanted to buy someone a gift, it would be not just a beautiful thing, which it is, but it would help a healing of a mind, body, spirit as well. And
Right.
how would you know which one to pick for what? Because each one's a different frequency. What do you recommend there?
So I recommend that people will, if they're buying it for themselves, to look at the images rather than the words, but to look at the images and see which one they like the best. And the one that they like the best will help them most easily and gracefully. And then if they're buying as a gift for somebody else, to really think of that person while they are looking at the images. So that in a sense, they're sort of putting the personality of the, or holding the personality of the person. And
Yeah.
there's all sorts of ways of choosing, and I'm always very willing and happy to help people with those choices.
And your website again is what would they go to?
crystalwingshealingart.com.
Oh, and if they use a code, they get what the code?
Okay, the code is Alan22, ALAN 22, with a no space between Alan and
And
22.
what do they get if they use that code? What discount do
They
they?
would get a 22% discount on any of the energy healing tools on our website.
That's fantastic. Thank
We
you.
are going to run that until the end of 2024. So right until the end of December of this year, so that as
Well,
many people as possible can access that.
I totally recommend it. They're beautiful Christmas presents, birthday presents, any sorts of presents you want to give someone because they feel so good, they look so beautiful, and they have this healing component. They're not just works of art, which they are, because I would put one up on my wall, I think, and but there's something else going on. So what is your vision though for the future? You know, you said, yes, we're in this world, we're working through this 3D dimension, but where are we going and what does that look like to you?
I just think it feels like the most beautiful version that you could possibly imagine of this planet. And you sometimes you see images of Atlantis or Lemuria, and it's like, yes, like that, and just where everybody's in touch with that joy.
So that is a great vision. And everyone, I also feel, is a creator. We're not, we're able to access what you're accessing and put it into whatever we're creating as well. I love crop circles. I've been to England. Some of these sacred geometry patterns are actually encoded into the crop circles. You said you have a fantastic crop circle story. I love to hear about it because those are really divine creations. Do you want to show it on your PowerPoint?
This is the very first painting that I created that goes out into the world. It's card number 1 in the empowerment cards, and it's called Healing the Waters of the Earth. And this central geometry, which is pink, carries the frequency of rose quartz, and the geometry is a combination of the masculine Genesis pattern and the feminine Genesis pattern. And when you put these two together, you have this symbol here, which I was guided by my guides to call the unity symbol. It is the unity between the feminine and the masculine energies. And it also represents a two-dimensional image of a torus, of a tube torus, which is very recognized in sacred geometry today. So this image was painted in 2003. And a huge story associated with that. But then in 2010, I was at a conference called Earth Spirit Conference in Vermont. And right next to me was Steve Alexander, who has photographed most of the British crop circles since they started coming into being. And at Earth Spirit Conference, I was speaking and he was speaking, and we had exhibit tables next door to each other. And as we first met, he looked at my paintings and he said, that was a crop circle last year. And so he picked up a book, he knew exactly which book it was in, and he turned to page 11. And on page 11 of the 2009 crop circle book was this image, which is a unity symbol, which I first drew in 2003. So for me, this was such a huge confirmation that what I thought was so important really was so important. Since then, of course, I have been to visit the crop circles and step inside them.
Barbara, that's like a miracle, isn't it?
That's what it felt like to me. Absolutely. Yes.
Did you like fall down when you saw that crop circle? Did you like?
And I love numbers. So the fact that that photograph was on page 11 was yet another level of confirmation and miracles for me. So it was just amazing.
Well, how do you do these fantastic design? I mean, do you use a compass? I mean, how do you make the circles and the flower of life and just the genius to make them and then combine them together? That was original, wasn't it?
So the very first one I did, I used a compass. And that really upset me because then I had holes everywhere in my paper and I didn't want holes in my paper. So after that very, very first one, I started to use like a circle template. And as my paintings got bigger and bigger, I was having to make my own circle templates that I could then place where I needed them and draw around them. And of course, I use a straight line ruler as well, so that I can draw the straight lines.
What do you make your tempo circles out of? How do you create those?
Usually art paper, and if my art paper isn't big enough to make the size, then I'm taping it together, and yeah, because some of my circles are huge.
But they're so exact, your drawings. They really line up. You have the idea, your instructions, and then
I begin. And it just happens.
How do you begin, though? That's what I'm asking. How do you actually?
Oh, there is a how I begin. So the lady who told me to start drawing in 1999, I went back in 2003 with that Healing the Waters of the Earth picture. And it was really interesting. One of the things she said to me was, she has given so many messages to so many people and they have never reacted to them and they have never followed up on them. And she couldn't believe what I had done in that short period of time. So that was beautiful. And then she said, remember always to start every painting with a cross. So every piece of paper I have used since, I have divided exactly. So then I have a center point because my cross is equally, it goes through the very center of the paper. And then from that point, I have found I can just build. And I don't feel like an artist. I feel like a builder.
These are very left and right brain coherent because you have the mathematics and then you have the visual design. So you're actually, and I think looking at them, you're bringing together the left and right brain, the masculine and feminine, and then the colors at the higher frequencies of encoding that divine masculine, divine feminine consciousness, and so the forms reflect the divinity of unity in us, I would say.
Yes, beautiful.
That is fantastic. So you needed that left brain biological awareness to get you to be so exact and scientific. And so how has your life changed? Like what, yeah, you're doing these amazing, and what's happening for you?
I, I feel that the time before this started happening was lifetimes and lifetimes and lifetimes ago. I mean, I have grown and changed and developed so much in what is actually 31 years. Because my father passed away in 1993, so 31 years of
But what's
awakening.
different? How is your life different? I mean, yes, it's changed, but tell us specifics if you can. Like how creating this and of course being in the healing energies, what's different about who you are?
I feel as if the joy within me has awoken. And so most of the time, I feel this sense of inner joy and a sense of inner peace, which I don't think I used to feel. And it was quite a long time ago where I was suddenly aware that I was feeling joy. And I wasn't actually, because I look at joy as being different to happiness. It's like it's deep, deep, deep within the heart when it's joy. And I wasn't sure that I had ever felt that before in this life. And that was towards the end of the empowerment series when I suddenly realized what a change that had brought about. And so I feel that affects everything. And this passion to help people, the passion to have, so the work is very amazing for people, for self-care, and for anybody who is in the slightest bit attracted to it. It will help them with their own self-care of their energetic being and that awakening process. But my passion is also to have it in the hands of energy healers and healthcare workers who again can use it to support their own health, self-care, but then can also like bring that forward to the clients and patients that they see. So I see it sort of filtering and helping the world to light up.
That is so great. I mean, I know it's connected to Saint Germain too, but what do you think Saint Germain's purpose is now as the avatar of the Aquarian age? I feel he is. What's the big vision that Saint Germain has for us as humans and evolved fifth dimension?
It's like that we will get it right this time. We will make it. And those were words that actually came to me from King Arthur way back in 2003 was, we will get it right this time. We will make it. So, and I think that Saint Germain is a huge part of that.
Barbara, such great work, and you have such feeling that you put into these as a mission. You're here to transmit frequencies to uplift people. And you're doing it in such a beautiful way.
Well, thank you. Yeah, and it's like, it's not just the people, it's the planet as well. But
The planet. Yes, exactly. So, Barbara, it is very pleasant to talk to you and look at your art and feel your enthusiasm. So, what do you have? You have your books there, which is the first book you wrote, which is this one here.
this one called Messages of Universal Wisdom, A Journey of Connection Through the Heart. It's a very heavy book and has lots and lots of pages. But it was I don't know, it took so many years to create.
Well,
And
what is in that book? Yes.
so they are there's descriptions of the first 13 images of the empowerment series. And so it includes sort of pages like this that have big pictures of the image. They have what I was at the time calling a poem and an affirmation and a decree. And then it talks about how they were created and the crystals involved and when the guides showed through. And then that also, the book was almost finished. And then all of a sudden, I was guided that Archangel Metatron and Mary Magdalene wanted to speak on behalf of each of the images. So there is also a double page spread where Archangel Metatron speaks as if he is the image, and then Mary Magdalene speaks as if she is that same image. And those channelings, all of the Metatron channelings were done in one day, so there's 13 of them. And then all of the Mary Magdalene were done on the following day, and they were done on an 11/11. So 11/11, and then by the time I'd done 13 Archangel Metatron, I could not do any more that day. So the Mary Magdalenes were done on November 12th of that same year.
And you channel them through writing or speaking? How do you channel these?
Through writing.
You just write it out like you as you coming through you. Great. And then what else do you have what people might be interested in?
What else do I have? So I also, which we haven't really mentioned at all, I have a chakra series.
Look at those.
Which really, so they cover the 7 major chakras, plus the soul star, which is about sort of 12 inches or so above the head. And then the stellar gateway, as high as you can reach above your head. The earth star chakra below the feet, and the high heart right over the thymus gland. So there is a book about the creation of that series as well.
How many chakras are there? How many do you count?
In this book, there's 11.
11
and,
chakras.
and it's not that I think there are only 11 chakras. I know there are many more, but I have only been guided to paint for 11 of them. And then there is the card deck for the chakras. So the box looks like this one.
You got such great designs. You really do.
And there are 44 cards in this card deck. And each of those 11 chakras has a card for the physical body, a card for the emotional body, a card for the mental body, and a card for the spiritual body.
Beautiful.
So would you like a message?
Yes, please.
We have, root of peace.
Chakra.
For the root chakra. So this is the card for the emotional body.
Okay.
And maybe this is very, very relevant for this moment in time. So again, it's a root of peace image is speaking to us. Root of peace speaks to the emotional body. My frequencies support and protect your emotional balance. I help you release fears of survival. My frequencies work to build your confidence and conviction as they clear, balance, activate, and upgrade your root chakra. I promote grounding and a deep sense of peace.
Now, if I looked at that image, would I also get the frequency of that root? Oh,
Yes.
hold it a little closer to the camera. I want to make sure. Beautiful. And you painted that too, huh?
Yes.
Beautiful. I feel that's a kind of root. I'm going to take a little screenshot. That is great. Barbara, beautiful work. What's the pendant you're wearing too? Is that connected to your work? I'm wearing 2 pendants. This one I designed and is called the Wholeness Pendant. And I'm, as you can see, wearing a gold one, but we currently only have silver available, but they are so gorgeous. And so this really represents the blossoming
of our own individual blossoming within this spiritual world.
Wow.
There is a certificate that comes with it that has the writing that I did when it was first designed, and it's designed on the number 5. So the flower of life is very much associated with the number 6 in the number of lotus petals there are, and very much a 6 based design. This one is based on the number 5 and the dodecahedron, which represents the world of spirit. So, and
Right.
I think it was Pythagoras that really talks about the number 5 being related to the healing process.
Wow, you're such a beautiful creative being. I'm very impressed with your production. And what do you have coming up? What are you thinking about now? Because you're covering all of it.
I have a series that was released, which we haven't talked about, called The Templates of Mastery, that particularly works with us helping us to release our traumas. That I am very much wanting to get out into the world and into the hands of people who are ready to work with it. But also I have a painting in process. So in the middle of 2003, when I realized it was 20 years since I had painted Healing the Waters of the Earth, I knew that I had to do a new iteration of Healing the Waters of the Earth. And I started it in the energetic window in last year of 2023, between 12/12/23 and 12/21/23, and got the drawing done, and I'm waiting for that window to open up again to do some more work on it. So it's a long one.
On this trauma series, huh?
No, this is completely different.
Oh, oh, that's a new. But I'd love to see some interesting pictures from the trauma series. You have anything there or no?
I do. Well, these are the original paintings behind me. So would you like to pick behind me here? The far one is for the emotional body.
Yeah.
The near one right behind my head is for the mental body. And the one in the middle is for everything. It's called
Let's
Empowered Mastery.
let's do the one in the middle. Let's see what you got. You're so organized too. Oh, that's beautiful. You got all your crystal bowls there. That, and so can you just channel something through with this one?
Called Empowered Mastery. I carry higher dimensional frequencies to promote shimmering health and vitality of body, emotion, mind, and spirit. I encourage full expression of your divine blueprint in physical form, the expression of you at higher dimensional levels of consciousness. My geometry interweaves masculine stars with feminine circles, representing wholeness within. Level of being is everything. And there are actually 65 cards in this card set.
What's that card set called?
It is called Templates of Mastery. So the box for that one looks like this.
Templates of Mastery. Wow, you are so productive. This has been very enjoyable, and I'm a very visual person, so I feel that. And then to have this next level of healing with the visions, great. That scarf you're wearing now is beautiful. Which one is that?
Oh, I'm actually wearing 2.
Oh, I love
So
that
this
one.
one is Ray 8 Aquamarine.
Beautiful, yes.
And this one is about clarity and discernment,
Great.
and then this one is Ray 3, which represents divine love and oneness.
Oh, the pink.
Yeah.
Great. Great. These are so great. And they're big. They are big.
They are big.
So
And
again,
so
Yes.
People who like to wear, and I know that you mentioned how you could imagine pinning them on the wall.
Yes.
And absolutely, people do that. But if you like to wear them, you can wear them like as flamboyantly as you like to wear things. So because they're so big, you can fold them in a sort of triangle and just do all sorts of things with them. I tend to wear mine in a much more sort of functional way, I guess.
No, I like them. And again, they make incredible Christmas gifts. You could use the code that we're doing for the show, Alan, ALAN 22, which is my birthday, 22, and you get 22% off. That's a good deal, 22% off.
I think so.
Yeah. Barbara, thank you for being
Thank
a
you.
guest. And I'm glad you were here talking about your art and your creativity. So
Thank you. I am so grateful, and it has been an absolute delight to share about this with you. So thank you.
so the website again is
Crystal Wings Healing
go
Art.com.
there. You can order everything online, the cards, the pictures, the scarves, all the images, all your work, and whatever new thing is coming up.
I might just add, though, that if people want a canvas that's big,
Yes.
we custom print those. So, and you can't order those on the website, so you'd need to email me.
And what's your email?
Is Barbara at crystalwingshealingart.com. And then the other little message is everyone in the US can order on the website, but if you're outside of the US, the system won't allow you to put your credit card in. So then you again have to write to us by email and we work it all out.
Thanks for being a guest on New Realities. Alan
Beautiful.
Steinfeld for New Realities. Thank you all for watching.